And I'm telling you, from my personal perspective and my own experience, that's where the transformation comes in. You must be willing. And number one, when I talked about in the episode of what do you want, I wanted emotional control. I committed to focusing on what I can affect. You heard that earlier. The best advice you can give anyone is to be the example. Is this the way that you are living your life? The willingness to own your actions, decisions, attitudes, and responses without blame, excuses, or deflection, regardless of what others do. Welcome back to another episode of Man vs. Marriage. It is I, your humble servant, the Q Dog, a.k.a. the Q Diggity Dog in the Moran family studio. Hoping that we have some, there we go. Audio's good. Hey, tonight, it is Quincy Moran reporting live from the Man vs. Marriage studio. For this solo episode, guys, I want to talk to you real quick. Jeannie is feeling a little bit under the weather, and so that gives me the opportunity to come in and talk to you guys heart to heart. Now, look, if you're one of the wives that listens to this program, stick around because I believe there's a lot of value in this episode for you as well. You are here, whether you've stumbled upon this episode or you are a longtime listener. As a guy that I listened to for a long time says, a P1 listener. You know that we are in the middle of a series called Where Do I Start? Why? Because that is our most downloaded series throughout the 7+ years that we've been doing this podcast. I think it's a fair question because if you're here looking for ways to improve your marriage, it doesn't generally happen because things are going fantastic. I'm sure there's a small part of the population that does what we encourage you to do, what we do ourselves, which is we challenge ourselves to continue to grow in our relationship as we grow together. And so with that, here we are at this episode, and this one is incredibly important. And I almost started with it exclusively, but I figured it would be a better idea to give you guys some exercises and some homework in order for you to reframe what this looks like. Now, the previous episode was about results and how long will this take. If you haven't heard that episode, I strongly encourage you to go back and look and listen. I almost command you, although I'm not your commanding officer, to go back and listen from the beginning because there is a significant amount of value. Why? Because this is not information that Jeannie and I pulled from a book. All of this, we ourselves have put into action. Over the last 16 years, we have grown this. So you're talking or listening to people that are leading by experience. Now, we've read books, we've challenged ourselves to grow, we've listened to podcasts, but what we're looking at is something that's more clinical, which is what is the reality and what are we working through? Remember the words of the great Nick Saban: good people learn from their mistakes. Great people learn from other people's mistakes. Now, look, we're humans, so making mistakes is unavoidable, and that's okay. But what I want to talk to you about today, you already saw it in the title of the show, and that is personal responsibility. And so I want to break this down for you, and I want to give you something that has been guiding me for the last 7 or 8 years. Give me some grace if that's off a little bit. I'm doing my best to tell you the truth, but it's been in process for a while. And that is my 5R principle. You might have heard me talk about it if you're a longtime listener. I'm sure you've heard me talk about it. It used to be the 4 R's. It is now the 5 R's, and it got a healthy and necessary upgrade. So what does this mean for you? In taking personal responsibility and challenging myself to continue to grow, the 5R principle is the framework that I've used to challenge myself there on each level. It gave me structure. It gave me focus. It gave me a standard by which I could measure to ensure that I'm showing up. I didn't do it perfectly, but I was very intentional about it. And so when things begin to happen that cause a reaction in me, or when I feel challenged, and I feel challenged in such a way where I don't know what to do, what I do is I bring this 5R principle and I start to measure it against my situation. And so these are built into me. It's like I talked to my daughters today and I said, look, the values that I have created in our household, I did that, yes, by talking about them, but number one, living them out. That is the most important feature that you can add to make it benefit, which is to live it out loud. So I've done this in front of you so that you yourself can see what that looks like as you get into the adult stages of life and you have to do big girl things. And so I take my value system, and when I come across things that I'm not sure what direction to go, the Q dog is a man of faith, so I'm always going to talk to Jesus about it. And then I'm going to take my value system and I'm going to measure this situation against my value system. And it makes easy work. It doesn't mean things do not hurt, but it gives you a plan to fall back on if you do not hear from the Lord or you are wondering, what does this look like? So it goes with my philosophy, which is when you don't know what to do what you know. And you do that as you seek God on behalf of your circumstance. And so let's talk about it. Let's define what responsibility is and how you can personalize that. The willingness to own your actions, decisions, attitudes, and responses without blame, without excuse, without deflection, regardless of what others do. That is paramount. Another one of the things in my life philosophy that I talk about, which is focus on what you can affect. It's your attitude. It is your actions. It is your effort. It is your intention. You know that by listening to this program. And so Jeannie and I talk a lot. We exercise a lot the value of your willingness. This is going to be the show for quotes, I guess, but Graham Cook, a minister that I love to listen to, he has sown great truth into my life, much like I am doing for you right now. He says, God's not interested in what you cannot do. He's interested in what you're willing to do. And I'm telling you, from my personal perspective and my own experience, that's where the transformation comes in. You must be willing. So with that, I had some personal anchors. Okay, some things that I did not want to happen anymore. Let me talk to you about those, and then I will get into the 5R principle, and we will round out this episode. And number one, when I talked about in the episode of what do you want, I wanted emotional control because I have a very by nature explosive personality. It could be this Irish blood in me, although the DNA says I'm more Scottish than anything. Maybe sort of the same. But I did not want my circumstances to dictate my attitude. Because for me, that was unacceptable because I had lived my life that way. So it was important to me to start to harness the attitude that I have and utilize it properly and utilize the energy, like put the energy into the right things. I did not want others having emotional control over me. And I come from a family of button pushers. We enjoy it. It's fun. We love to do it. But it's not long after you start joking that things can get off the rails, at least in the Moran household. Maybe it's only me. It doesn't mean we don't do it. It just means I don't do it now like I did then as a retaliation because I want to fight. I committed to focusing on what I can affect. You heard that earlier. And here's another truth that the Holy Spirit taught me about a year ago that I've been living out, because I used to chase people down to give them help, to give them my advice. I was looking for people to help because I love helping people. And Jeannie and I were getting ready to go on a date, and I felt this drop in my spirit. I felt like it was very profound at the moment, and little did I know it was profound, probably more than I knew. And this is it. I've been taught the best advice you can give anyone is to be the example. And I'm telling you, once you let that sink in, your life is going to change forever. So I talk to guys, and they will start to vomit all of the things that they do, and they will blame their wife for why they act the way they act. And in my opinion, that is a gross lack of maturity. You're not a little kid anymore, even though you are stuck in the past, trying somebody to get to hear whatever your voice is that you don't feel like is being heard. But when you act a certain way and it's cyclical, and you're good a while and you're not good, and you're good a while and you're not good, you have to take responsibility for your actions. And that, to me, is what has helped me grow significantly. The true transformation comes in surrender to Jesus Christ. I want to make that totally clear. If you disagree, then disagree. I'm good with that. I'm talking about my experience and where I am walking, because I've utilized disciplines and I have gotten better. But the transformation that is true is, what is the conversation on the inside? Is it still the blame game? Is it still a situation where you go, well, if I wouldn't? And I'm not saying that that's an easy thing to fix, but I don't know if you know the gravity or the weight your attitude and your actions and your efforts and your intentions hold in your relationship. And this is not for me to say to you that your wife doesn't have problems, because I'm sure that she does. Because Jeannie and I both had issues with resentment. We had issues with disappointment. We had gotten bitter towards each other. We had gotten bitter towards life because life was kicking our tail. But I have no ability, nor do I want any, in controlling Jeannie's attitude. I can influence it, but controlling it is up to her. So I'm going to focus on what I can affect. I'm going to take responsibility when I don't act my age. I act my shoe size. That's a throwback. Love it. I'm going to take responsibility when I'm all emotional and I lash out and I say things that I ought not to say because I'm having a low moment. I'm going to take responsibility when I'm not considerate enough, because consideration is a major piece to a beautiful relationship. Have the decency to consider. So I believe it is extremely important for you to take this episode in for you to understand what you want to anchor you in some of these areas. Maybe anchor is not the best analogy, but it's where I was in putting this show together. Because these are some things that were solid. They were solid points for me along the way. And when circumstances will happen, that is an opportunity to gauge yourself and where you are in the process. It's not a bad thing. If you don't want your circumstances to dictate your attitude like they have been, well, don't be surprised when circumstances come along that challenge you swimming upstream, you doing something different. Now we get into the mindset that this is happening for me. I can grow from this. Definitely changed my life hearing Coach Rita talk to me about that and then introducing me to the material of Ed Milet, who was teaching her that via podcast. There's a lot of value in that. So here's the 5R principle. It goes like this, and I have taught it to people for years, but I have done my best to live it as well. Number 1, be reliable. I put some definitions down here. I had some definitions put down here for it. Being dependable, consistent, and trustworthy in word and action, doing what you said you would do, especially when it's inconvenient. All too often right now, we are trying to do things that is easy, because right now in the era in which we live, everything's about being comfortable. How can I get this and still be comfortable? I challenged you in the last episode to say, being comfortable has given you what you have now. Is that what you want? It's like what Dr. Phil says. How is that working for you? Why do you have to be comfortable all the time? Because you can be very comfortable and you can be very disappointed and unhappy and have no connection and have a failing sex life and feel miserable. And here's the thing. As you're starting to change and transform into the man that you want to be, where this starts first, where personal responsibility is this. Can you trust you? Are you dependable? Are you consistent? Are you trustworthy to you in your word and your action? Do you do the things that you said you would do, even when it's inconvenient? You've got to ask yourself that, because I had to ask myself that. And look, there are things around my house that are in disrepair that need to be repaired. And so I don't meet this level on, I don't meet perfection on every level. My standard is excellence, because I believe that's achievable. It's not perfection. Be resourceful. And that is the ability to find solutions instead of excuses. Using what you have, where you are, to move forward rather than waiting for ideal conditions. Now, look at every area of your life. Are you being resourceful? Is that resourcefulness helping promote you into being more reliable? Using what you have. No, don't start Monday. Unless today's Monday when you're listening to the podcast, then start today. Resiliency. Be resilient, the capacity to endure difficulty, recover from setbacks, and continue forward without quitting when pressure, conflict, or fatigue show up. Resiliency is something that we are lacking in society today, because everything is about culture, being comfortable in this culture. Everything is about getting my way. Everything is about me, 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 me. And that selfishness does not promote healthy relationships. I like to say it this way for Jeannie and I: we are in service to one another. We are in service to one another. Be relentless. Unwavering commitment to doing the work repeatedly, refusing to stop showing up, even when progress feels slow or is unrecognized. Now, in times past, that was the 4 R's that I would teach the people who were under my care, teach my children. I would talk to it about the athletes, that I worked with. And then this year, while I was seeking and working on a promotion, which the last couple times I had an opportunity for promotion, I didn't make it. But it did not slow me down. The beauty is the last few promotions that I interviewed for, I believe have been the best of my career because I'm speaking from a place of conviction. So everything I'm saying is what I live and it's what I believe. It's like I can project into the future and say, I believe that this is possible. And here's why. So the 5th R is this: be remarkable. Living in a way that stands out because of character, discipline, and ownership. Not perfection, but consistency that leaves a visible impact. Are you doing that? Like each one of these supports the other. Are you making a remarkable impact on your wife and your kids? Well, no, because they. That's not leadership. I understand there has to be accountability, right? Isn't that part of leadership? Isn't that part of excellence, is accountability? So who's holding you accountable? And what standard of accountability are you invoking on yourself? That's yet another reason why we started where we started with this whole series, which is, where do I start? So that you can locate where you are. You can locate, you can identify, you can look at the future and say, what do I want? You can look at yourself and say, who do I want to be? And then you can wrap your head around, what are the results? And when things begin to get difficult, you bring them back to this standard. You bring them back to this standard, the 5R principle standard. And these are the pieces of the framework that I've put together. Maybe at some point it extends or it expands, excuse me. But I want to ask you, without blaming other people, are you reliable? Are you resourceful? Not just in a business sense. Maybe you're great at business, but you're not great at relationships. I understand that. I definitely understand that. I have been there. I have been there. Are you resilient? Are you training yourself to bounce back? Because as you go through this process, there will be opportunities that come along that will trip you up, that will make you feel like you're failing. But that's where your resiliency comes in. You look at these uncomfortable situations as you learn more about the man you want to be, as you lean into your value system, then you can approach these things with some sort of excitement to say, I believe that this is going to give me an opportunity, A, to locate myself, and B, to grow. Are you relentless? And are you living a life that is remarkable? I realize this is not going to be for everybody, okay? But it is a passion of mine to be remarkable. And not in a way where I get positive affirmation for it, but in a way where it truly impacts people's lives. And I live my life for God, okay? So in my heart, over the last few years, as I have learned to surrender my personal or selfish ambitions to His good and perfect will, one of the things that compels me to live a life that is remarkable is knowing that I'm a conduit for God's goodness, and I want to make that impact because I might be the only expression of God that people have the opportunity to experience. And that is very important to me. It's very important to me, like in other podcasts when I've talked to you about how I live my life, even when nobody's looking. I live it just like everybody's looking. I hold myself accountable. And I told you this is not about perfection, okay? It is about excellence. And that is something that will set you apart. That is something that will cause you to create deeper and more connected relationships within your family. And that's what I want for you, if that's what you want, if that's why you're here, because you want to know where to start. You want to understand, what is personal responsibility? What does that look like? So I'll finish with this. Defining responsibility again. And I'm here to ask you, is this the way that you are living your life? The willingness to own your actions, decisions, attitudes, and responses without blame, excuses, or deflection, regardless of what others do. That's my challenge to you. Are you living it? The 5 R's. Be reliable. Be resourceful. Be resilient. Be relentless. And be remarkable. To people you know and people you don't know. Because you are a walking expression of God, your family, and your name. And that ought to mean something to you. And if it doesn't, it's time to reevaluate where you are. All right, fellas, that's it for this episode. Where do I start? I'm looking forward to getting your feedback. Quincy at mvsmpodcast.com is the email. Continue to use that. How can I help you? Once again, that's Quincy at mvsmpodcast.com. You know that you can go to quincymoran.com for more of the things that we offer to help make you better. And I'm excited to get your feedback on this, whether you agree or you disagree. Bring it on, Captain. Let's get after it. I'm going to say a prayer for you before we go. If you're driving down the road listening to the audio, please don't close your eyes. And why do I close my eyes? Because I want to look inward. I want to look into my soul. I want to look into my soul so that I can get a peace about where we are and about what we're about to pray about. So if you would, join me. Father, I thank you for your faithfulness. I thank you for your love and for your intentionality, for your plan and your purpose for our lives. And Lord of heaven, I pray for the men and women that are listening to this show, and maybe they're suffering from the yeah, but I can't, yeah, but she, yeah, but he. And I'm just asking, Lord, that your Spirit would meet them where they are in this moment. Some people might have a good marriage. Some people might have a great marriage, and they're looking to get to the next level of outstanding. The chances are some people are listening to this because they're desperate. They are losing control of themselves and their relationship, and they don't know what to do. Wherever they are, Lord, I pray that you would meet them there. Lord, that your heart and your Spirit would minister to them in this very, very moment. Lord, I pray that you would speak to them. Help them get quiet and hear your voice. And Lord, that you would bless them in this moment. Lord, that you would pour out courage. You would pour out hope. As an impartation, you would put it into their soul for the future of what is to come. I pray for their lives. I pray for their homes, their businesses, their extended relationships, Lord. I pray for their health and their healing and their finances. Thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you for your intentions toward us. You are good. And I pray all these things in the name of Jesus. That's the name above every name. Amen.